Sean Colo with GrowingYourGreens.com. Today we have another exciting episode for you. Today I'm here in Miami and I'm at the home of Miami Fruit. And some of you guys may be familiar with Miami Fruit because if you guys watch YouTube a lot, you may have seen a video, something about the, 7-figure exotic fruit farm business or something like that, right? So today I'm here to reveal the truth about that because in my opinion, that video, it's a good video, but there's a lot of hype in there that's not actually true. So I want to show you guys actually what this exotic fruit farm business is actually doing and is actually growing here in Miami. I'm going to take you guys around the farm, show you guys different areas of the farm, and then more importantly at the end of the episode, we're going to go ahead and interview the farmer and owner, Rain, who runs this entire place. Now I'll give you guys a heads up that, I've known Rain for so long. I helped him promote his Miami Fruit company back in 2018 when he was literally delivering fruit on the back of his bicycle, had a trailer in the back of his mom's, house that he operated out of, right? And I'll put a link down below to that video. I'm so glad that he was finally able to afford land and buy land and get fruit trees in the ground. And his mission is a lot more than just supplying people with the highest quality fruit that literally sometimes money cannot buy some of the fruits that you guys could buy from Rain anywhere. A lot of it is sourced locally. Some of it he grows, a percentage he grows here on the farm. Some of it he imports from overseas, such as frozen fruits, high quality fruits, varieties that are not normally imported into the United States. And he gets them all out to you guys. So he's doing some amazing work by basically creating a market for exotic fruit, right? So that he could grow it, and then more importantly, he could also employ other local farms here in the area to grow and have a place to sell fruit. Because here's the thing, guys, I've been coming to the Redlands area here, Homestead area, for like 20 plus years now, and I've seen the development start to take over, right? Yes, there's lots of nurseries here, but every time I come here, I see more and more land that used to be farmland now getting swallowed up with a Lanier subdivision, and now it's turning into homes, right? I guess even on the radio this morning, I heard NPR talking about how much more people are gonna be living in Florida in the next, 10, 20 years, and how much more development and housing will be required. This land has to come from somewhere, and I don't want it to come from farmland, right? Neither does Rain. So making it financially viable for farmers, not just to grow avocados or citrus that you get literally pennies on the pound for, to grow, crops that command a higher dollar value, that are more rare, that cannot be imported from other countries without irradiation, and also being able to pick the produce as ripe as possible, ship it out to people so that they could have the best eating experience. So that's really what Rain is about providing a service and helping local farmers to stay in business, keeping their farms by growing some of the more exotic produce, but also more importantly, supplying people around the world. Maybe one of you guys would like to try some exotic fruit that's actually just not the mediocre stuff you get in the normal produce industry, but some of the highest quality fruits that you can get without even leaving the comfort of your own home. Of course, for me, if I want high quality fruit, I'm getting on a plane, coming to South Florida and visiting Rain here so I could try some of his fruits, and of course, all the other amazing farms that I've visited on this trip here to South Florida. So anyways, let's head into this farm and learn more about it. All right, so as you guys can see, I'm now inside the farm, and there's many different areas to the farm. There's like, more traditionally planted orchard areas. He has new, on the other side, the hurricane-proof areas. He has lots of areas with all different kinds of random fruit trees planted. He has an area where a lot of things are being grown in pots and containers, and even like a hoop house or, a shade house that he grows the seedlings and a lot of the experiments in. He has a total of 7 acres here, and he has about 10,000 total different kinds of fruit trees, so many different kinds of varieties, and even more importantly, special varieties that even other people here in this area don't even have. Like, I've saw some things that I can't really tell you about, but like they blew my mind, like literally. And these are the kind of things that he's experimenting with to grow out, to get out to his customers, to get his customers feedback. And if that all goes well, then he moves it up to a higher production, and then he'll start propagating trees that local farmers could buy from him so that they could plant these and they could have a guaranteed place to sell their crops to get a lot higher market value than just some common avocados or other common fruits that are normally grown in this area. The thing about South Florida here is that farmland, because now all the development is coming in, has gotten really expensive. I heard that 1 acre could cost at least $150,000 to $200,000. So like, how could you invest that much money in farmland for 1 acre and then make money on growing avocados when they're selling for so inexpensive? That's why a lot of farms are just basically, I'm jumping ship, man. I could get this much money for my land. It's worth it to me to just to cash out and not even grow avocados anymore. Then it gets bulldozed into a subdivision and more houses go up. So I think this is quite sad. And America is just losing farmland, right? It's getting all done. Farming is being done, you know, in foreign countries where labor is really cheap, and then we get all this poor quality imported fruit that's picked too early because it can't travel and be ripe and taste good. And so Rain's really trying to bring back American farming to where he grew up, here in South Florida, to the Homestead area. So I really admire him for doing that and trying to create more American jobs and keep farmers in business here in the Redlands. All right, so next I want to take you guys into the hoop house here, where he's doing many different experiments, because that's one of the goals for his farm here, to basically be a model to see what new varieties of fruit that haven't been tapped before can be grown here. So he experiments with different kinds of fruit trees as well as grafting techniques to see what he can get to grow here as a first step. So let's go inside and show you guys what he's got going on. All right, so as you guys can see, we're here in the hoop house here, and he has lots of different plants, pretty much all in pots with a few exceptions, a few in the ground that aren't gonna survive outside. And I don't even know what he has in here. All this stuff is top secret because he's experimenting with different kinds of tropical fruits, different kinds of cultivars of tropical fruits that you may be familiar with. And he's just experimenting with so many different kinds of things. I mean, that's really the goal here, is to go outside the normal scope of growing the standard varieties of crops that are normally sold, but, you know, find new varieties, you know, maybe like a orange variety of this fruit or something, and, you know, ones that have never really been tapped too much that people are not aware about, to see what is possible. So he grows thousands of plants to see what's going to do well here in the hoop house. He then takes it outdoors, will then plant it in the ground, check it out for several years until it makes a fruit. If it fails, then he cuts it down and plants something else, and if it succeeds and is fruitful, then he'll start sending that out to customers to see and get their reaction, their feedback. If it's good, then he'll continue on in the journey of taking that you know, tree and then planting out in mass to see the production, also creating more wood or scion wood so that it can be propagated in the future. So a big part of what he's doing here is he's doing literally plant propagation. So today he has a few workers here, you know, getting plants planted. You know, sometimes he'll start from seed to get seedling plants. Some plants like annonas could be grown from seed and they're fairly true to seed. Many other tropical fruit trees are not true to seed. So if you plant a seed of a mamey sapote of this variety, you're not going to get this. You may not get the exact same variety, right? So he has lots of different seedlings that may grow out into full-fledged trees, producing the same exact quality fruit of the one that he planted. But in some cases, he will grow them to actually graft them out or use them as a rootstock for, you know, a better known variety. So as you guys can see in this area, he has a lot of different 4-inch pots with different kinds of trees planted in there. And, you know, these can be used for planting out on his property, or even giving them to local farmers to see how they will grow for the local farmers, right? This is a big part of Rain's mission, is to increase the diversity and grow wider to see what is possible down here in South Florida. Things that are formerly was not able to grow in South Florida, such as cacao, for example, right? Because the weather is changing, everything is getting warmer, climate is changing, now it can be grown outside, and you can actually get cacao growing them outside. So, you know, Rain is pushing the boundary with what can be grown, sourcing, you know, seeds and plants from not only inside the United States, but in some cases outside the United States, to, you know, find the next cool rare variety that could be of great economic benefit to the local farmers, but more importantly, provide fruits to the people here across the United States that they've never tried before from foreign countries that normally you'd have to fly to the foreign country to get. So behind me, you guys can see as the plants get bigger, and some plants will just go into the 1-gallon pots as he moves them up, and you can see like literally Rain is more than just a fruit seller. He is literally a farmer experimenting with a lot of different rare varieties of fruits to see what is possible. And you can see some of these plants, like this guy, he wasn't so lucky and didn't make it, but he has lots of them that are successful, that may get planted out here on the property one day. Although I want to show you guys, you know, as much as success he's had, he's experimented a lot. And, you know, like I encourage you guys to do, when you're gardening, right, life is about observation, and how good of a gardener or farmer you are depends on how often you fail, right? I encourage you guys to fail, because if you always playing it safe, right, you never fail, you're never going to learn anything. So he's always trying to push the envelope. And, you know, while a lot of these plants look pretty good and successful, you know, there's times where they were not as successful. So let's show you some of those. All right, so as you guys can see, here's another flat of plants, and most of the plants on this flat did not succeed. This is a crop failure. Sometimes a crop failure will happen inside the hoop house. Sometimes if these do make it, he'll plant it outside, and then he'll see if it lasts, you know, a season or 2 or 3, or even makes fruit or not, right? And a lot of times he may not succeed, but that's all right, because now he's learned what doesn't work, right? And then he can move on to find out what really works. So this is how we learn in life. You know, if you're a baby and you try to walk and you stand up and you fall down and you fall, right? You don't just give up like, oh, I fell down trying to walk. I'm never gonna walk. I'm never gonna learn how to walk, and you keep crawling the rest of your life. You learn how to walk, you get up and pick yourself up and keep going. And that's what Rain is doing here. Even though these didn't make it, hey, he's gonna try again, try it a little bit differently, different rootstock, different, you know, grafting techniques to see if he can make it work. So next up, I want to show you guys actually something that he did find out that works, and now he's creating new fruits that have not traditionally been grown here, and creating a market for them so that farmers can be more successful. All right, so now I want to show you guys a story of success and a crop that Rain found successfully grew here in South Florida, and he's now doing it in mass abundance. He started out with literally a row or 2 of this, which is the Rollenia deliciosa. It's an Adamoya family plant that people just love. I mean, I've only had it like maybe 2 or 3 times in my life. I think only one of those times it was really good. So luckily he has some ripe fruit on the tree that I'll get to try. But now that he knows this grows well here, and more importantly, he shipped it out to customers, and they love it and they want it. I mean, it's also really rare. I mean, I haven't had it that many times, right? Once he does a trial like this, then he grows it even on a larger scale that I want to show you guys right now. So once he determined that the Rollenia would work on a smaller scale in 2 small rows, then he started planting it over on this side, and he has 2 giant rows. I don't even know how long these rows are. Definitely way more than 100+ feet. And how he's growing over here is basically hurricane proof. So he is trialing this system that was originally invented in like Australia to make his fruit trees hurricane proof. A lot of tropical fruit trees don't have deep roots, so they don't go deep that far to hold themselves in place during a hurricane, such as established mangoes could really be deeply rooted to be resistant to hurricanes. But a lot of, you know, fruit trees may be shallow rooted. So while these are shallow rooted, he planted them up off the ground. In addition, he has this really solid structure made out of metal, right? That's probably designed, and he basically has leader wires all the way down, and he's basically doing the espaliering of the trees to grow them in a single line. This will allow him to walk and easily prune the trees, keep them short, so that harvesting is easy. They don't need any ladders, so no worker is gonna get hurt on ladders. This also allows them to be basically easily be able to feed the trees, because this is almost like trees on a raised bed, which is something I've never really seen before. But yeah, now he's got this whole row, several rows of Rollenia, and of course he has other different kinds of fruit trees in this section that he's also currently working on getting feedback with. In addition, because he is now growing it in this way, he's gonna see how well it works growing it espalier, And then also then he could promote this to other farmers in the area so that he could provide them scion wood so that they could graft on to the other Annonas and then start growing this same exact variety that he already has basically pre-sold and customers wanting. So real quick, I want to show you guys more about this system. It's got basically like this aluminum that's really quite heavy duty. It's kind of going up, makes an arch. This is totally stable, hurricane proof, sunk into the ground. And then he has the wires going along. This is really thick wire going all the way down. He has the trees tied at 1, 2, 3, 4 different points up. And then you could just walk through the middle of it and you could harvest from the inside, right? So you don't have to go to the outside. In addition, as you guys can see, he basically just drops his compost here. So this is all, in this case, sugarcane that he just dropped on the ground that'll then rot down and then feed his trees. You could drop lines of compost down here. He's got rotten bananas. And one of the secrets he does is he'll put, you know, rotten fruit down here, and the fruit flies and the gnats will basically end up pollinating, you know, some of the crops for him, which is kind of cool. You know, a lot of the crops he also made do hand pollination, like all his Rollenia is generally hand pollinated, and he pays the workers that pollinate the Rollenia, you know, working wage. I think he said it was like $20 an hour. So although his income may be, you know, really big, you know, most all the money gets dumped back into the farm. I mean, I'm not seeing any Lamborghinis or anything here, man. He's got like 20 employees, pays them all fair working wages so they could actually make a living here in South Florida, where it ain't cheap to live. So as you guys can see, he's got rows and rows of this hurricane-proof fruit trees, which is a really cool design because I've never seen this before. But the other thing to know is that growing things in this way, you know, takes a lot of labor to get the trees properly trained. But if you ever seen, you know, videos from, you know, fruit tree growers in Japan, they actually use a very similar Aspel A style, and they get high density production in a smaller space by doing it this way. So that makes harvesting a lot easier because all the fruits are basically in a line when you're harvesting them. But when the plant's growing, you also need to trim them back and cut them back and then espalier them, which does take a lot more time and labor. But I hope to come back here in just a few years and see how amazing this orchard is doing. All right, I wanted to show you guys another thing they're doing on the farm. They basically got these big containers. They're basically made out of aluminum and galvanized metal, and they got these big containers that they literally just load up with all their compost, right? The compost rots down inside, and they put, you know, things from like the pineapple tops when they ship the pineapples, or fruit that's rotten that does not meet their quality standards. You know, shells of different fruits and whatnot. And you guys can see there's a few banana pups, you know, coming up, right? Bananas are heavy feeders, right? Why not use the waste products from their, you know, fruit operation business and their farm to grow more food? So this makes it really easy. They just dump it here. As it breaks down, the bananas absorb it and then grow even bigger. So while there's a few banana pups coming up in this compost bin, I want to show you guys some that are mature that are getting fed by the compost. All right, so you guys can see one of those bins there, and you guys can see all the bananas growing up top. You can see a rack starting to form up there if you could look really closely, the banana bud. But what they do literally is with all the waste and food scraps that they you know, get here, this is mostly pineapple tops, right? And the bananas are just growing out of them. You can see a new pup growing right there. But you know, as this stuff rots down, the bananas absorb the nutrition, you know, the nitrogen. Bananas are heavy feeders. So as this breaks down, the bananas absorb the nutrients, it breaks down, and is basically just a cycle, returning the nutrients from the unwanted food scraps to grow more fruit. So I wanted to share with you guys another technique they're doing here is they're basically growing above grade. You know, I can't tell you how many times people plant things at the level of the soil and then it basically sinks down when they plant it. So it's always better and is often recommended to grow your fruit trees above grade, right? So the ground level is here. You want to make a little mound, like a little, you know, hump, and then plant your trees. So actually that's what he's doing here. And I really love the technique because what they do is they just mulch heavily underneath it to help conserve the water evaporation and, more importantly, feed the soil below it. As you guys can see, there's a pallets of pineapples actually all growing in 1 gallon containers. So to me, this is actually really eye-opening. I'm like, Rain, have you not planted your pineapples out in containers into the field yet or something? He's like, no, John, if you plant the pineapple out in the field, right, the plant will get nice and big, and the pineapple fruit is going to be basically half the weight of the plant. So for example, if you have a 10-pound plant plus the fruit, right, half the weight is the fruit and half the weight is the pineapple. When you have large pineapples, they start to ripen from the bottom on up, right? And if the pineapple is too big, by the time the top is ripe, the bottom has been rotten. That's why it's hard to find totally ripe fruit in the stores. So what he's doing is he's growing them in 1-gallon pots, keeping them small, keeping them tight, all closely together, so that the plants on purpose stay small, so that then the fruits also consequently will be small, and smaller fruits can have more even ripening than big, large, hunking fruits, right? This will assure that he could grow a lot more pineapples in a smaller space, number one. And number two, more importantly, which is his goal for doing this, is to have high quality fruit that literally money can't buy, because most industrial growers growing in big acreage is not going to take the care and labor it takes to grow pineapples literally in 1-gallon pots next to each other. And of course, you know, Miami Fruit focuses on, you know, feeding fruit to fruit connoisseurs, or people that really love their fruit, or people that want to try fruit, exotic fruits that have never tried it before. And Rain knows the lifetime value of the customer. He knows it's more important to basically provide high quality fruit that people can't source elsewhere, so that people continue to come back to him, so he could have an overall long-term sustainable business with repeat customers, so that he could continue to sell them fruit, but more importantly, get farmers to grow the fruit for them. Rain told me a story, and it was quite sad, that he said he dropped off like a whole bunch of, you know, pineapple tops to a local farmer, and the farmer never planted them out. And to me, that just makes me quite sad. Rain also has told me that he's having a problem finding a local farmer to grow pineapples that he will pay top dollar for if people grow them. But you know, pineapples are an investment, right? I don't know if you knew this, but pineapples can take like 1.5 years from the time you plant the plant to the time it actually produces a pineapple. And that's a long time for basically land space being taken up. And then you get one crop, you cut it, and it's gone. Meanwhile, if you plant a fruit tree in that same spot, right, you could get, some fruit trees could produce in a few years, and then every season reliably that same tree will continue to produce fruit. You know, so I admire the farms that actually produce the high quality pineapples. And if you guys want to get some of the best white sugar pines I've ever tasted, check my link down below to the video where I visited the Kauai White Sugar Pineapple Farm. All right, so as you guys can see, we're sitting in another area of the farm, and in this area, basically he's growing the peanut butter fruit in 7-gallon pots, right? So some of the plants don't need to be put in the ground and can still be quite productive even in a 7-gallon pot with like literally a foot spacing in between them. So he's like, we could harvest off these, we could sell the fruit off it, and then also too, he's trying to find partner farms to basically take these peanut butter fruit and then grow them out, because he already has a readily available customer base that will buy the peanut butter fruit if he had more quantities available. So in this way, once again, he's trying to reach out to local farms and grow the fruit to provide them, but meanwhile, make these plants available to local farmers if they want to start growing some of these rare crops and diversify their farm as well. So I think this is, you know, this is a much better model moving forward than the old model of just, oh, we're just gonna grow this and then try to sell it, right? He's already have a customer base that will buy it, right, if he can supply it. And the problem is, you know, he's created the demand with his fruit company, but the problem is getting the supply up to snuff. So that's what he's working on to bring back farming to America. Normally, crops like the peanut butter fruit are really exotic, special crops. They don't travel and ship well, and you're only gonna get them if you travel to somewhere tropical. So I'm really, you know, glad that Rain is making fruit available to people that don't live in the tropics, that don't want to travel. I mean, me, of course, I would prefer to travel to the tropics and try peanut butter fruit. And actually, to be honest with you, I've only tried peanut butter fruit a handful of times in my entire life. And just to know that he's making it available to people, that they can just do a few clicks of their mouse and get it shipped to their door, that's truly amazing in my eyes. All right, so now I want to show you guys actually what makes this farm possible, right? Why does he have the farm? Why does he grow all the fruit to try because he will send the ripest, high quality fruit to you guys out there anywhere in the United States. And this is a representative box between a small and a medium size. This one happens to be approximately 8 pounds, although we didn't weigh it. And you know, he uses the best sustainable materials to ship to you that you can compost in your garden or reuse actually. So, you know, number one, the box, this is a nice thick, heavy duty box, custom made. It's a fully planet friendly, 100% compostable and recyclable packaging. So this is actually recycled cardboard. And these are some of the amazing fruits you can get right now this time of year. Keep in mind that every time of year will change because he gets the best in-season fruits at the time. We're gonna go over this real quick, and then maybe I'm gonna go ahead and open up or try a few fruits for you guys just to kind of give you guys an idea of what you could get. Also, I wanna kind of reveal the packaging at the bottom, which I think is probably the coolest part of this box, aside from the fruit, of course. So we got like the tree tomato here. We got some unique banana varieties, and I gotta stop and talk about bananas. I mean, the imported bananas that are picked green and then gassed to ripen, and they're just the Cavendish variety. I mean, there are so many cool varieties of bananas that taste incredible that, you know, when they're shipping them here, they're locally grown here in Florida. I met one of the banana farmers today, and their unique varieties are gonna have significantly better flavor. Like, I choked down standard bananas. I call them cardboard from the grocery store. I barely enjoy eating them, but I really have been enjoying my locally grown bananas here in Florida, which you get shipped to you now. Of course, you got other rarities like the cacao fruit. You also got the yellow dragon fruit. Don't eat too many of these because it'll put you on the toilet. They have a natural laxative effect in the seeds, I learned the hard way. We got some Kamito, or the star apple. We got some nice locally grown guava. We got my favorite fruit in here probably, which is the Chico Zapote. This is like the brown sugar pear fruit. So it kind of has a consistency of a pear, but it's like brown and sweet like brown sugar. We got, of course, the passion fruit, or lilikoi. Look at this little cute pineapple, right? I was telling you guys about these pineapples. You're not gonna get a pineapple this ripe anywhere, right? Completely yellow, ready to eat, ready to go. Oh, and it smells so good too. Wish you guys were here to smell that. Of course, we got the Canistel, or egg fruit. This is a really interesting fruit if you've never tried it before. Oh, we got the chocolate zapote, which actually I had one today, this morning in my breakfast. I mixed like cooked oatmeal with the chocolate zapote with bananas with freeze-dried cranberries. That was my breakfast today. Definitely good. Not the super sweetest fruit. Definitely good to make smoothies out of or add to other things. Actually, here's a pomelo that actually I just tried some pomelo before I made this, and actually quite exquisite, good flavor. Of course, we got like a variegated lemon. I think that's pink on the inside. We got some kind of other little citrus lemon lime thing. More passion fruit, another banana, another little lemon thing here. Oh, and we got some finger limes. If you guys never tried the finger limes, you guys are in for a treat. This looks like caviar on the inside. Let's break it open for you guys and show you. Look at that, these little beads just come right out. That's so crazy. Delicious. Of course, we got into the banana, another finger lime. And of course, we got my favorite, the Cape gooseberries, or poha berries. Hard to get these guys ripe, man. And when they're ripe, they're amazing. Don't ever pick these off your plant ripe. They're generally gonna fall to the ground. These are related to the tomato. These are my favorite fruits to eat that I grow in my garden. These will grow year round in my greenhouse in a zone 9A. Excellent flavor here at Miami Fruit. And of course, the bottom of the box, this is paper, no styrofoam here, no plastic here. Even the tape on the box, completely compostable paper craft tape. But look at this is my favorite part of the box, guys. You guys don't understand. This material here is basically shredded wood. This stuff here makes the best mulch for your container fruit trees. Don't forget it. Lorraine shipped me some fruit many years ago. I took this and then spread it out on top of my fig trees, on top of the pot. Let it sit there. There are so many earthworms in those pots because this insulates it from, you know, just the weather, the arid climate that I'm in. The trees loved it. They stayed a little bit more moist. And the other thing about this, unlike regular, you know, mulches you would use, This lasted over a year. It didn't break down that quickly. So I was quite impressed with the shredded wood pulp to use as a mulch. So if you get some of this, make sure you mulch something with it. I mean, to me, this is decorative. So you could even use it for indoor house plants or whatnot. So yeah, don't throw this away. To me, it's really valuable. I've been trying to source this stuff to actually just buy as mulch because I want to actually put this on my vegetable garden, like put this in between my vegetables and have my vegetables grow up between them. Because you could easily remove it instead of like having it mix into the soil, and it'd be reusable for a longer period of time. So that's one of my current projects to do. All right, so you guys can see a sample of the fruit box. That being said, what I want to do next for you guys is we're going to go ahead and interview Rain, the creator of this utopia here in Miami, and learn more about the farm and more about his mission to get you guys the highest quality fruit, and more importantly, create more American farmers. So now we're here with Rain, the co-owner of Miami Fruit, in his amazing orchard that's hurricane proof that I just got to show you guys. And we're gonna learn more about the farm here and Miami Fruit in general. So Rain, the first thing I wanna talk to you guys about is there was a viral video. It's like, what, exotic fruit tree farm makes over 7 figures or something crazy. So what's up with that video, man? Do you really make like 7 figures?
No, I don't make 7 figures.
You don't look like you make 7 figures to me when I visited this place.
I got my Crocs on. No, I think, everyone needs a catchy title. This video will probably have a catchy title, won't it? But, we move a lot of fruit, and so people tend to not know the difference between revenue and profit. The profit we do make, which is a lot less than 7 figures, we put right back into the soil, as you've seen probably in this video, with all of our hurricane-proof trellis systems, our design that we're investing into the future of agriculture in South Florida. So we're doing everything we can to give back not only to the community that's brought us up and has grown all these fruits for us that we've been able to offer across the country, but also give back to the earth and the soil and make sure that there's some agriculture, some greenery, some fruit growing here in South Florida.
Wonderful. So tell me about the structures here, the hurricane-proof structures. These to me are super cool because, I mean, I just bought property in Puerto Rico, so to know that I could have a structure that, shallow-rooted trees don't get pulled up in a hurricane. Like, do these really work? Have you experienced a hurricane? What's up?
So these are fairly new for us here in South Florida, but they have been trialed extensively in Australia. In Australia, they have hurricanes just like we have here, and even worse ones. So they've had hurricanes, Category 5 hurricanes, and been harvesting fruit the next day using these trellis systems. Now, we designed them here for our environment. We have a lot of water here. We're in the swamp. This is the Everglades. So when it rains, we get flooded. So one thing that I've adopted here, and you can see from the videos behind us, is all the trees are planted like 1.5 feet, sometimes 2 above ground, because if we do get a hurricane or even just a little storm that floods the place, sometimes it could be underwater here for over a week.
Wow.
So it hasn't happened in, since I've been here, and it doesn't happen often, but you don't want all your trees to die. We got, thousands and thousands of trees in the ground. We don't want them to die. So we invest in the future of our trees. We make sure we're planting them and we're doing everything we possibly can to protect them. You can't do everything. If a tornado comes through, they're going to take some things out, but hurricanes, we're pretty confident we're going to be hurricane proof, and it's shown that in Australia.
So the question, Rain, for you is, why did you start Miami Fruit in the first place?
Well, I started Miami Fruit in the first place because people had asked me to sell their fruit. I was working at a farm, and way back when, farmers asked me, hey, you're going to the farmer's market for your farm you're working at. Why don't you buy my fruit and take it to the market too? So I said, sure, why not? Let me buy some bananas here and some mamey here and work with these small local growers, and started bringing their fruit to market. As that grew, they kept asking me to sell their fruit, and people that saw my fruit on the internet, like you, John, said, ship me a box of fruit to, Las Vegas or to New York or to Wisconsin or all over. So we started shipping fruit, as a response to a consumer demand. People asked us to do it. So we're like, well, if we can do it, we're going to try to do it. And that's kind of been the way this whole thing started. I didn't go to school for business. I went to school for saxophone. I just I'm passionate about fruit, I'm passionate about growing trees, I'm passionate about nature, and if I can help, I will. So that's where we started doing that, and now that we've actually, after 10 years of not making a profit, we've made a profit, and now we put it back into the ground. So we're investing in having our own farm where we're trialing new species of rare fruits so that in a dying agricultural economy, maybe someone here can grow fruit in the future.
Wow. So tell us about the fruit quality that you're shipping out. Like, you know, why should somebody buy from Miami Fruit instead of going to their local grocery store and getting, you know, what they would say, oh, that looks the same. Like, what's the difference?
Well, I think, you know, a lot of the stuff you can't get at local grocery stores. Depends on where you are. But our main mission is quality fruit and diversity of quality fruit. So if you go buy a rambutan from a grocery store near you, it's likely that it's a lot older and it might be brown, it might, you know, be picked underripe, it might be totally green, you know, and sometimes you'll get lucky and there's some good fruit, but our mission here is that we're picking stuff as fresh as we can. Even imported stuff, we work with the farmers directly so that we get the top quality, most nutritious, most ripe fruit, and we deliver it as soon as possible. So we're not sending stuff slow on trucks, and we're not getting pallets, you know, up to New York and then back down to Florida like a lot of grocery stores do. We're working directly with the farmer, or we're growing it ourselves and we ship it straight to the customer so that it's fresh and nutritious.
So I just saw some, I think, what, guavas came in today?
Guavas came in today.
When will they be going out?
Today.
Today. Wow, the guavas come in today and they're going out today.
Yeah, and we might have a couple special orders that will go out tomorrow. You know, if it's a mixed box, if someone orders guava and something that we're harvesting tomorrow, we'll hold it for a day and ship it tomorrow. But, you know, typically same day, next day. Some of the fruit, like the Rollinia, I don't know if that's in this video, but the Rollinia has to be picked right about now. They're actually probably picking the Rollinia right now to ship out for a customer tomorrow. So 6 o'clock it goes on the truck, and then by tomorrow morning around 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. they get the Rollinia, because it cannot last more than 24 hours.
Wow.
So you have to eat it as soon as you get it, basically. But its freshness is key, quality is key. If we picked a green Rollinia, it would have no taste. We got to pick it when it's ripe.
Wow, that's crazy, man. So let's talk more about the farming aspect, because, you know, I mean, a lot of people may promote Miami Fruit for the amazing fruit, which, you know, I've gotten your fruit and it is amazing, and I've seen the quality and all this stuff. But I really want to get into the farming, because, I mean, before you're just a fruit seller, but now you decided to invest in property and grow fruit. So why the transition from just selling fruit in your early years when you're pulling a, you know, bike trailer and going to the farmer's market, you know, to now investing in property and then in buying more property to grow more fruit trees? Right.
Well, I didn't have the option back then. I was on a bicycle, didn't have a driver's license, was camping in my mom's backyard in an old trailer, and you got a video of it.
I've been there.
So, you know, I didn't have any money, and we started working where we could. I grew bananas and pineapples and stuff back in my mom's backyard. But you know, we saved up and invested into land, and now we've got some land that we're growing, and we can now invest back into the community. So we're growing rare fruits that nobody else is growing. That's our goal, in the U.S. anyways, in the continental U.S. And we're trying to find varieties that are suitable for this climate, that we can then work back with our growers and say, hey, you can grow this for us, and we're going to pay you an actual, you know, profitable margin for this product, because the competition to grow in the US and compete with imports is astronomically high. You know, you can't compete with the cost of production of most imported fruit products. It's just leagues and leagues more expensive. Everything from labor, land costs, fuel, you know, supplies, everything is more expensive. So we're trying to find niche crops that are special to our environment, that we don't have regulations that are going to, you know, get wiped out by an import coming and cutting all the profit margin and making it so that the farmers can't compete. So it's a little bit top secret. You know, that's why when John came, I was like, we could talk about it, but we got to also save the farmers their specialty information that we're working for them. So the idea is, again, to grow specialty crops, to invest into research and development, to then offer those crops like Rollinia now we have available to the consumer, where you can't get that anywhere else. And if you could, it wouldn't be quality, because if you cut it and you have to send it on a plane from Ecuador, it's done. It's done. You have to cut it green and then gas ripen it, and we all know that's no good, right? So that's the goal, is to find crops that we can offer back to our growers that got us started, and maybe the next generation will be able to grow something here in South Florida and in the continental U.S.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about chirimoyas. I got some chirimoyas from Chile, and they are terrible. Like a lot of tropical fruit, especially, they don't deal with cold storage well, because they like the tropics. They like it warm, right? All the crops that you guys normally eat, like apples and oranges, they'll totally deal with cold storage and the fruit quality will remain still pretty good,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
But tropical fruits, you got to pick it, eat it, or you're not eating it, and it's going to be
Exactly.
terrible, and it's just never going to ripen up, and then you're going to have a bad fruit experience and think that fruit sucks because you had a bad experience because, you know, you didn't get something picked the day before that gets delivered to New York City the next morning, which is insane.
Well, even like soursop, for example, you know, you can find that in some
But
big
they're
stores.
just never
But they're,
right.
they're never going to ripen good because they're picked too early and then they're held in cold storage. Like soursop, people go to Whole Foods in New York City and they're like, why does this, I hate soursop. No, you just never actually tasted it. You never had a good one. So again, that's why we do what we do. We ensure quality and we make sure that everything is getting shipped out at the right time when it's properly ripe. And that means a lot of overnight shipping and expedited shipping. So everything goes expedited. So that's a whole another ballpark that we have to, you know, deal with, that you don't get at your local grocery store because it's just going on trucks for a week from across the country and then back up here and then from the wholesaler to the retail market and then from the retail market to your shelf. We pick it, we put it in a box, and you get it the next day.
So Rain, what keeps you motivated? Because I mean, I'm here and I see this is a lot of work for, you know, one man. I mean, I know you got a crew of like 20 people.
Yeah.
But like, what keeps you motivated to like, you know, put in the hurricane resistant stuff, do all these trials that, you know, hopefully will work or, you know, may not work. You know, why is this so important to you, man?
Well, it's endless things that inspire me and that make this important. Like, you know, for example, the hurricanes. If we're going to invest into this and we're going to tell a grower to spend their money and time growing, we want to make sure that they're not going to get wiped out after 4 years and they just start seeing production and a hurricane takes out their whole crop and 5 years of work or 10 years of work. But really, you know, what keeps me inspired to do all this and to learn is you guys, the customers, the people that we reach and the people that ask us, hey, we want to support you. We want to try new fruits. We want to have diversity in our kitchen, and we want to see you guys continue to grow and put new things in the ground and offer new products that you just can't find at the grocery store. So it's really, you know, I'm inspired by you guys. I'm inspired by people that want diversity in their market. They want nutritious food in their lives. They want to support local USA growers. They want to support high quality products of all kinds, right? We don't want junk. We don't want stuff that's you know, we don't want to be wasteful. We want to be resourceful. We want to pull from Mother Nature and give back to Mother Nature. We want to have good quality products, and food is no exception to that.
So since you've been growing fruit here, Rain, for many years now, for my people out there that live maybe in the area or other tropical locations, what are the 3 easiest fruit trees that, you know, you've grown or you've seen grown at your farms that you've worked with over the years that you would recommend for them to grow?
Well, that's all over the country, right?
No,
or where?
No, here in the tropics, here in Miami.
In Miami.
What grows really good?
Well, if you're a homeowner,
Yeah, homeowner.
you know, you want something probably that is going to give you fruit quickly, right? You don't want to plant a tree and have to wait 5-10 years, you know. So I usually recommend you could put passion fruit growing on your fence line, and you can block out the neighbors with a nice, beautiful passion fruit. And the flowers of a passion fruit. Have you ever seen the flowers of a passion fruit? They're just cosmically beautiful. They're like, you can't paint anything that beautiful. You can't paint a fence that it looks like that. So if you can have a living fence with beautiful flowers and edible fruit, and then you'll see the bees come pollinating, you'll see all kinds of stuff, like that's a win for me, because everyone has, you know, most people have a fence,
Right.
you know, even if it's just a 6-foot gate, as long as there's a little bit of sunlight, you can grow on it. Papayas grow pretty quickly, although, you know, they get tall and you got to chop them back and they'll sprout back into a bunch of little heads, like what's that Greek mythology where you cut the head off and more heads come out. You know, yeah, there's a Greek myth. But that's what happens with papaya. So if it gets too tall, you chop it, it'll sprout back a bunch of little ones, and then you can pick the fruit from the ground. Bananas are also really great because you can always put your compost, your coffee grounds, your fruit scraps, anything you have, you can feed back to the bananas, and that'll help produce more fruit for you. So bananas are quick and they're easy. You know, you get bananas in 1 to 2 years if you take care of them in most homeowners' places. And so those are some good starting points. If you want vegetables, I'm sure you've got a bunch of tips for vegetables.
Yeah, of course.
Like moringa and chaya and katuk. I like katuk a lot.
Katuk.
But those are some good starting points. Pineapples are great to grow because you don't need that much space, so you can just grow some in your windowsill. If all you have is a windowsill, you can put some pineapple plants in there and have 5 pineapples a year.
So another thing I wanted to ask you, Rain, is about like, getting farmers in the area to grow, food for you. Cause, so now you could reduce buying some imports or things that could be sourced here, but you can't source here because nobody's growing them.
Right.
So you want to talk about like some of your current needs. Maybe somebody out here will be a farmer that watching this that like, hey, I could grow that for Rain and make a good sustainable income.
Yeah, well, if there's any, it doesn't have to be in South Florida because we work with growers all over the nation too. Because if there's somebody that wants to grow something specialty and they want to try something new, that we're interested in working with anyone. But we also want to make sure that it's cost effective and it's going to be an economical choice for your particular situation, for that grower. So there's a lot of different crops that we can work with growers to grow. But it has to fit. The shoe has to fit. The hat has to fit. So you have to be able to, have the space available, the climate available, be willing to, know what the work is going to be like, essentially. Because you can grow anything, but everything takes work, and everything takes different types of work. So the work that goes into a banana orchard is a lot different than the work that goes into a longan orchard, or a lychee orchard. So it's different kinds of work. So we try to work with the growers, especially new growers, and say, well, how much time are you going to spend, on the farm? How many people do you want to have working? What's your budget? What is your expected yield per year that you need to make to pay the bills, to pay off the loan, and work with them to decide, if you're going to, everything's a risk in life, especially farming, because you're dealing with Mother Nature and you're dealing with
crop failures,
all kinds of stuff, even government regulations.
Wow.
You came back here in 2018. I think we just finished a government shutdown. They didn't let any fruit out of Homestead for like half a year.
Wow.
Yeah, so luckily we dehydrated some things, and but there's a lot that can go wrong. So we want to make sure that you're spending your time wisely, you're spending your money wisely, and you're investing into something that is going to fit your needs as a grower. So that's the first thing we talk about with growers in their particular situation. And then, we could be here in Homestead, you go on the other coast to Naples, you have a totally different growing climate. It's totally different in terms of the inputs you need, the amount of work, the types of pests, the types of disease. So, even just same latitude, different longitude by like 50 miles can make a huge difference.
All right, Rain, so about the only complaint I have about Miami fruit is because I'm a pretty frugal person myself, right? I'm gonna say that straight up. And dude, some of your prices are expensive. I will say that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's worth it because every time I've got a box, it tastes amazing.
Right.
But it is expensive, and I know for some people, they may not have the budget, or maybe they might not see the value in it. So you want to talk about the value in your fruit, and why do you even offer it? I mean, obviously there's enough people out there that are supporting you, so you could do all this. But what would you say?
Absolutely. So it is expensive if you compare it to the grocery store. Like our bananas are expensive if you compare it to Cavendish at the grocery store. Yeah, well, that's
just like a dime a dozen, though.
It's
garbage.
Exactly. So the quality is first and foremost, but a lot of it goes into the cost is the expedited shipping, the packing, the actual premium price that we end up paying for the fruit, because we want to ensure that it's quality. So we'll work with our growers to pay more so that they can focus on quality over quantity, right? So that's a big part of it. But also, it's expensive if you compare it to McDonald's or the grocery store. But it's not really that expensive if you compare it to a lot of other types of experiences, like going out to dinner. People go out to dinner and will easily spend a couple $100s to bring their family to dinner, and that's one meal. Whereas we're sending stuff you can't get at any grocery store or any restaurant, and that'll spice up the kitchen for a whole week. You can use caviar limes on top of your salads. You can use mamey sapote to make milkshakes. You can use our bananas for smoothies and ice cream. You can use guava in all kinds of dishes. And a lot of these things are not just like hard to find or you can't find of quality, but they're super nutrient dense. So you're paying for a service that you don't have, there's time involved to go to the grocery store and find a parking spot and wait in line. You can spend a couple hours going shopping. We're going to do that work for you. We're going to make sure it's a higher quality product, more nutritious product. And then we're going to go above and beyond to make sure that we are offering diversity in our products and fruits that you just can't get at the grocery store, even if they're higher quality. So, it's not a service that everyone can afford, and certainly, maybe not to live on. If you're only eating Miami fruit, that'd be very expensive. But for a gift, for a loved one, you know, we send a lot of, you know, soursop and soursop leaves to people with cancer. We have miracle berries that change your taste buds for people that are undergoing certain treatments that they can't have sugar, so they like to have a miracle berry. So there's a lot of, you know, even just birthdays and Christmas and spicing things up, you know, New Year's and Chinese New Year's, and there's a lot of events and times of the year where, you know, it's nice to get someone something that they can eat, you know, and it's nice to get someone something that they'll enjoy throughout the month, like, you know, like a bouquet of flowers where it lasts like a week. And that's more, it's an experiential offering. So a lot of gifts and a lot of just enjoyment of you get to smell the fruit, you get to taste it, you get to cook with it, you get to try new things, you get to learn about a new culture, you know, fruits from all over the world, like black sapote and dragon fruit and soursop, like things from all over the place. So it's an experience, it's an enriching experience, it's something fun to do with your kids. You know, if you get to show your kids a new fruit, they get to try something that they've never tried before and see that look on their face. I mean, priceless. For me, it's priceless, you know. So and it's, again, you're paying for expedited shipping, you're paying for 20 different types of fruit all in one box delivered to your door, highest quality that you can't get anywhere else, you know, and if we could sell them for any cheaper, we would. We do have actually like a leftovers box. So that's like, you know, we try to harvest just what we need, but we always harvest a little bit more because we sort through the fruit and maybe it has a soft spot or a blemish, and those are the fruits I eat. You know, farmers, we eat the ugly fruits, but we have a leftovers box that's basically just the price of shipping. And so if you just want to have more fruits around, you're not picky, you're not worried about it. I don't like eating pomelo, or I don't like eating pineapple, or I don't like bananas. You know, if you just like fruits, that's a super cheap option to have fruits delivered. You can get on a subscription. A lot of the subscriptions are 30% off.
Oh, wow.
Because it pays us to be able to go to the farmer and say, hey, look, we have orders for this whole year. So we can actually, you know, that helps us operating, and that's like a huge value to the company to be able to have customers that are willing to say,
guaranteed,
hey, I like this product, I like this service, I'm going to sign up for a box every 2 months or every 2 weeks or every year. You know, you can sign up for a subscription of any length, and that helps us, it helps the growers, and it actually probably helps you guys too, because then you'll forget about it and you'll be eating junk food, and then here's a box of fruit delivered to your door and you're like, oh, I guess I got to eat it now, you know. So that's a great way to support as well.
Wonderful, Rain. So I guess the final question I have for you is, you know, how can somebody buy your fruit, and is there a special discount for my viewers today?
Well, there are some discounts that when you go on the website, it will pop up right away. We could probably find a code for you. We could do an OK Raw, but we probably still have your OK Raw code up. But you know, MiamiFruit.org, MiamiFruit.com, Miami Fruit on Instagram and TikTok and all the things on YouTube as well. You know, just check when you click on stuff. There's a lot of scams out there lately. Just make sure that it's MiamiFruit.org on the website. You know, and you don't get rerouted to something, because there's a lot of scammers out there, and you want to just make sure that you're actually
supporting
on our website.
A good guy doing good work, trying to get more farmers employed with good quality fruit.
Absolutely, absolutely. So make sure your money's going the right place. Check it out. Follow us on, even if you don't order, follow us on Instagram, because you'll learn a lot about tropical fruit. You'll learn a lot about farming, and it's just a beautiful thing to be inspired every day and see something that's nourishing for not just your body but for the soul.
Right. Amazing.
Thank you, guys.
All right, Rain, well, thank you. Thanks for having me out today to your farm to be able to show this, because I know you have a lot of top secret things, and I mean, I don't know half the stuff you're growing anyways, because I'm not into tropical fruits yet. Hopefully one of these days. So if you guys out there in YouTube land love this video, love learning about the tropical fruit farm here in Miami and Miami Fruit, and how he grows fruit to not only get it out to you guys the highest quality, but more importantly, get American farmers to start growing fruit again. Make fruit great again. All right. Give this video a big thumbs up. Also, more importantly, share this with other fruit lovers around the country that want to support American farms growing American fruit, so they could learn how to do it as well. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss my new and upcoming episodes I've come out every 5 to 7 days. You never know where to show up or what you'll be learning on my YouTube channel about growing your own food or supporting some of the best farmers in the United States. Also, make sure you click the bell so you get notified as many videos come out. And finally, be sure to check past episodes. The past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 1,700 episodes at this time. Wow. Dedicated to teach you guys all about how to grow your own food at home So with that, my name is John Kohler with growingyourgreens.com. We'll see you next time. Until then, remember, keep on growing.